Good evening and welcome to MetroFocus. I'm Jack Ford. Mentally ill and living alone. Under an ambitious housing program offered by the state, hundreds of mentally ill New Yorkers were promised a better life as they moved out of institutions and into private apartments. However, for some, this sudden shift toward independence has proven to be not only dangerous, but deadly. In a new documentary titled Alone and Mentally Ill in New York, ProPublica and Frontline investigate this flawed housing system. Take a look.
My name is Abraham Clementi Jr. I wanted a different life. Be independent again. I didn't need them to come around once a week or every day bothering me. I'm an adult.
It looks like you might have an infection of some kind in your finger there.
Oh, because I banged it and it showed up. And then it started bleeding pus and everything.
When was that?
A couple of months back.
It's been like that for a couple months?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Why do you let it sit out like that, Abraham?
Because I forgot to clean it up. Can I feed the rats?
Do you feel like you need somebody to help you?
No. I interfere. I do it myself.
I don't trust him. He put a chicken in the oven, and he totally forgot about the chicken, and it was a lot of smoke. I live in the third floor, you know? Luckily, I got a fire escape, but it just doesn't... It's not about the fire. It's just like, about himself. Ain't nobody there with him. Nobody.
Here with more on this investigation is the man who broke this story for ProPublica, Joaquin Sapien. Joaquin, nice to have you here with us.
Thanks for having me.
It's a very powerful and compelling film here, very thought-provoking film. Let's give our viewers for a sense of context here. This program arose out of a settlement of a lawsuit back in 2014. Give us a quick sense of what was the basis of the lawsuit and what was the idea behind the settlement.
The lawsuit really has its roots in a series of stories that came out in the New York Times in 2002 that won a Pulitzer Prize focused on the adult homes and the conditions inside them. And what a reporter there found, a reporter by the name of Cliff Levy found, was that people living in these homes, that the adult homes had kind of been envisioned initially as a more humane
they were supposed to be a step up away from the warehousing,
state psychiatric hospitals,
the asylums.
That's right. And conditions within them had deteriorated over the years, such that people were really not getting any kind of meaningful psychiatric care. There was no air conditioning in some of these rooms, and so people wound up sweltering to death. People were throwing themselves off of rooftops. They were run by these sort of unscrupulous business operators that
When you read the stories, you thought you were back in Dickens' England.
Right. So people were really being sort of exploited in these homes. They were being, there was a lot of unnecessary Medicaid appointments. People had gotten unnecessary surgeries, and people couldn't believe the grim sort of details that were coming out of these adult homes.
At one point in time, their decisions, trial-level decisions. And
so the following year, in 2003, advocates sued the state. And the thought was that many of the people that were living in these adult homes really did not need to be under 24-hour watch, and that, in fact, they could live on their own in their own apartments with the right services in place.
And that sounds like a wonderful idea.
On paper, it is a wonderful idea, and according to the letter of the law, it's something that we have to follow. People with disabilities under the American Disabilities Act have the right to live in the least restrictive setting with adequate support. And it's that second part that is so crucial and is so difficult to get right. And that's what we found was really lacking in many of these alarming cases that we discovered.
Tell me about some of the most critical and disturbing findings.
Well, so what we found was that there was about 24 or so people who were living in unsafe or inhumane conditions. One of the worst cases that we discovered was that of Abraham Clemente, who's a 69-year-old man who has schizophrenia and had lived most of his life in institutions before given the opportunity to live in his own apartment. And he was living in as you can see in the film, yeah, just absolute squalor. It's
hard to watch in some ways.
It was hard to report on
where he was living, I imagine, to report on.
It's heartbreaking. I mean, the apartment was swarming with insects. There was rotting garbage all over the place. He clearly was inconsistent with his medication regimen. He had been hostile toward the people that were trying to help him to such an extent that they all but gave up. He really scared his neighbors, who felt like, sort of early on in his experience, he was doing okay, but he gradually declined, and it seemed as though the people assigned to help him were sort of powerless to meaningfully intervene.
Was this a situation, and this might sound like a simple either or, and perhaps it isn't in terms of an answer, but was this a situation where Mr. Clemente was just not the right candidate to move out on his own, or was it there was just not the correct follow-up care to make sure to shepherd him along on that path?
Well, I'll say this. I mean, there are documents that show people who were helping him with his medical care while he was living in the adult home were very concerned about his ability to function on his own. He seemed to have no real interest in mastering his own medication regimen, for one thing. The agency that was helping him with that care said explicitly in documents, we can't, safely provide support to this person in his own apartment. So there are certainly warning signs, but people who do this work believe that virtually anyone with mental illness can live in their own apartment so long as you have the proper supports in place. Now, on paper, each person that leaves an adult home and moves into their apartment is supposed to have a highly professional, highly coordinated team of people with their own distinct expertise that can help this person make this very dramatic shift in their life. What we've found is that that promise on paper just has not met the reality of people like Abraham.
It's a thought-provoking film. It's marvelous reporting by you, and it's doing what good journalism does, which is, as you said, shining light on things where we need to know more about them, and hopefully it's going to result in some progress on it. So Joaquin, it's, again, great reporting, a very compelling film. We appreciate you spending some time with us here.
Thanks so much.
You be well.
Happy to be here.